Mira a la izquierda, mira a la derecha. ¿Qué ves? ¿Dónde estás? In a world that seems to change daily, what will you do next? Welcome to the Next Steps Show with Peter Vazquez, a starting point for discussion y un poco de dirección. Buenas tardes, buenos días, ladies and gentlemen. Sí, soy yo, tu conservative Nuyorican Peter Vazquez, aquí in the WYSL studios. As always, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to have lunch with you today. Man, what is going on in this world? I mean, the other day I was at an event for the 4th of July, and in the neighborhood I was in, someone was talking about a dog being shot just a little bit before I had gotten there with an arrow. I mean, WTF? And then, this morning I'm listening to the news, and it was sometime last night maybe, or the night before, I think it was last night, another little dog is now shot with a gun. Apparently they shot multiple times. Bad shot. They got him in the legs. Both puppies are okay. But check this out, though, ladies and gentlemen. Do you understand the kind of soul, right, that it takes to be able to cock back a crossbow or a trigger and shoot a defenseless animal? I mean, I get it. If you're being chased, if you're stuck in a corner somewhere and you're being attacked, that's one thing, right? I mean, you put that animal down, human or otherwise. But a defenseless animal like a puppy or a small dog, give me a break, dude. You people are losing your mind. And I'll tell you what, those two individuals that had the rotten soul to do that, I surely hope when they find you, well, I mean, you'll probably be let out and told to go do it again, pretty much. But boy, I'll tell you, you deserve to have the book thrown at you. And the thing is this, if you do that to an animal, a defenseless small animal, what will you do to children? Insane to me. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, listen, if we can take about 10 seconds of your life right now, and what I want to say is just a little moment of silence, because today, Officer Ritter is making his way back home, right? Again, another person with a rotten soul, and frankly, rotten souls as a result of these policies that this administration, the buffoon in the White House, hocus pocus, and all her progressive friends are pushing, right? So just a quick moment of silence today when you have a chance. Or how about we do it together now? Lord, we pray blessings over that family. And you know what? We pray blessings over the animal that took this officer's life and his family as well, right? Blessings that they can see what was wrong, right? That they can find regret and remorse and possibly even at one point say, I'm sorry. I'm just saying. Anyways, with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, 346-3000 is you and I today. Today we're talking. I ain't got no guest but you, ladies and gentlemen. So listen, engage with me. Talk with me. It's been a little while that I've heard all your beautiful voices over this airline. And you know what? Talking about that individual that shot the puppy or the other one that pulled, unless it's the same person, that pulled the trigger on the crossbow, check it out. This month, this is National Make a Difference to Children's Month. You know, how about put down those things that you're doing and pick up a child and say, hey, how can I encourage you positively today, this month? This year, how can I serve as a role model and go out there and do things that will make you as a child proud? You know, it's also National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. Well, I mean, listen, when you stick the word minority, which if you look up the definition, it means something less than something. And listen, you can call me whatever, or minority all day long, but I know this, I ain't less than nothing. And I sure as heck ain't less than you calling me a minority, just saying. So, right, how about just National Mental Health Awareness Month, right? Again, if you ain't got nothing better to do than to shoot puppies or other human beings or police officers, then you know what? Maybe pick up a book and figure out how you can make someone smile. Because like we've said a million times, what you do is being mimicked by those seeing you, especially our youth. Right? Especially our youth. So check it out. I'm going to go on a couple little past today's show, right? I want to start off, again, ladies and gentlemen, 346-3000, right? And I'm going to try to lay this groundwork because when we look back in history, even in biblical times, right, we start seeing parallels. So check it out. I'm going to start off by bringing you to the dream, right, of King Nebuchadnezzar, which was in the book of Daniel, yes, the Bible, in the book of Daniel, both in chapter 2 and chapters 4 of the book of Daniel, right? Those two chapters in the book of Daniel describe the dreams, because there were two, of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, right? Remember, when he first had the dream, he could not, he couldn't decipher it, right? So he called on his astrologers and his wise men. He called on his magicians. He must have called Hocus Pocus in Albany. And he demanded that every single one of them interpret his dream, and they couldn't. So he put him to death. He had him executed, right? So Daniel, right? Daniel had intervened. And said he can decipher because, God told him you can decipher this. And he was a Hebrew, and he was a captive servant in the king's court. And all he asked of this king, Nebuchadnezzar, was for God's time to seek God's wisdom. And then he came back and interpreted Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Keith, thank you for calling the Next Step show.
Rightfully, you mentioned the young officer passed... as they say, way too soon, and there was no reason for it. Fire people, not to be chauvinistic, firemen are supposed to be as big and strapping. 2 years ago, one of them, I guess, was taken to a feast to call it for Juneteenth, and I guess he was so emotionally set back that he had to make a settlement with the city. He had 4 years to go before he could retire, but he's not having to return to service, so he's going to be getting 4 years of $90,000 pay each, plus a flat blanket payment of $150,000, $75K now, and $75K when he does retire in 4 years. I'm asking everyone out there, why that money? Because it must have made a difference to this fireman. He asked for the money. I guess it meant something to him. But so far as the larger societal way of looking at things, why does he get to take the money and run? What does that big money do to this big strapping fireman? That whatever happened to him 2 years ago, that Juneteenth supper that he was so put out, that this big money is going to assuage his feelings. And secondly, how does that help the larger community overall with this one person, the so-called strapping fireman, walk away with that kind of big dough? I'm really asking your opinion on that.
Absolutely, Keith. And the thing is this. I think that sometimes people forget that... Keith, I think people forget that sometimes people get their feelings hurt and they end up seeing an ability to garner some money. Now, he's by far not rich, and I'll tell you what, if he took his job back, I'd have probably had a little bit more respect for him in his situation. Do I believe he should have been compensated? Listen, I leave that up to the judges, obviously, however it is that they figure out monetary value, right? And was he harmed? Well, I mean, if you listen to the narrative, I guess he was. However, it goes back to the fact that if he was trying to make a change, he would have taken his job back, he would have taken the money, and he would have stood tall as a fireman, and he would have served this good city as a good fireman that he had claimed to be. That's my opinion.
Well, in closing, because I know we're heading to the break here, I just don't understand. He loses, to me, his moral foundation by taking that big money. You said correctly, with 4 years to go before retirement, he could have done something and certainly returned that amount. let's say a foundation in his name to help the larger community. But now the city says we wish him due and good blessing in his future endeavors. That helps no one but him. And I keep using that phrase, a big strapping fireman. Boy, he must have really caved in emotionally, whatever he saw at that Juneteenth feast that was so offensive that, the city just had to make him whole financially.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Whoever made that decision must have felt that the evidence warranted that, Keith. But again, from my perspective, my opinion is, had he gone back to work, everything that he struggled to point out and take to court would have made a bigger difference if he just stayed there. Keith, I appreciate your call. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go nowhere. We'll be right back into Conservative Nuyorican.
In the Rochester and Finger Lakes region, one name stands above all others for real estate appraisal and advice.
Ryan Murphy and Associates.
This full-service real estate appraisal company can appraise and advise on purchase and sales decisions, mortgage finance feasibility, estate, matrimonial, partnership buyouts, litigation, and more for any type of property, both residential and commercial. Ryan Murphy was founded almost 40 years ago. All of our highly trained staff members have at least 20 years of experience. All our appraisers are either New York State certified general or residential real estate appraisers.
Ryan Murphy and Associates.
Start here. RYNNEMurphy.com.
For the last couple of years, Joe Robach has been telling you about Flower City Collision in Henrietta, saying that it was started by a veteran along with his son, Zach. Hi, my name is Greg Sadwick, and I am that veteran. I want to thank the WYSL listeners for their support over the last couple of years. During those years, not only have I experienced the gratification of providing you the best repairs and customer service, it has also allowed me the opportunity to see my son develop as a young professional. So remember, Flower City Collision for your collision repair needs. And thank you for supporting our locally owned family business.
Youth for Christ Rochester is focused on keeping kids safe and healthy this summer. We provide a Christ-like culture in our skills and drills, Friday night or Saturday morning basketball. And we're so excited to start all 3 versions of our new God's Girls middle school programs. Consider connecting your business or ministry to one of these vital programs for City Youth through a sponsorship. Reach me at mhennessy@yfcrochester.org or support us online with a one-time or monthly gift. Go to yfcrochester.org/donate.
Now that the good weather's back, you'll want to make sure your vehicle is in tip-top shape, whether it's for the daily commute or that vacation you're planning. For quality, affordable vehicle service, rely on Rock Auto Service, 1132 Westridge Road. Rock Auto has what your car, truck, or SUV needs. Oil change, brake service, suspension, alignments, exhaust, air conditioning, and tires. Check their Google reviews as one of Rochester's best for customer satisfaction. Rock Auto Service, 1132 Westridge, just east of Mount Reed, 434-5010.
Peter Vazquez and Next Step Show on the WYSL stations.
Welcome back to the Next Step Show, ladies and gentlemen. Keith, thank you for your call. You know, I just want to end that statement by saying this. You know, if there were less lies in our political system, especially here in Rochester and Monroe County, we would look at situations like that situation with the firemen and think to ourselves, well, maybe that was legitimate. But whatever. Listen, Keith, thank you for bringing that up. Kudos to the guy. We lost a good fireman there. It's too bad. But hey, he got paid, and well, it is what it is. So on the Nebuchadnezzar, I'm going to read this a little bit. I say this story because I want to make a correlation to what we're seeing now and the trickeries, right? So Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon Empire, his story was this, right? It was a dream of a giant statue with a head of gold, chest and arms of silver, belly and thighs of bronze, legs of iron, and feet partly of iron and partly of of clay, a stone not cut by human's hand struck the statue, smashing it into pieces, and the wind blew the fragments away. The stone then became a great mountain that filled the whole earth. Right? So the interpretation, what Daniel told the king when he interpreted, he said this. He said, the statue represents successive kingdoms, right? The head of gold was Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon Empire, hugest ever, right? The silver chest and arms symbolize the Medo-Persian Empire. The bronze belly and thighs represent the Greek Empire. Iron legs signify the Roman Empire, and mixed iron and clay feet denote the future divided kingdom, but it doesn't say which, right? And the stone, like I said, represents God's eternal kingdom, which would eventually replace all earthly kingdom. Then, in the second chapter, right, Nebuchadnezzar had another dream. And in this dream, he dreamt about a vast, strong tree that reached into the skies and provided shelter and food for all creatures, right? And a heavenly messenger came to him, or came and decreed the tree to be cut down and the branches stripped and the fruit scattered, right? Only the stump and roots would remain, bounded with iron and bronze in the ground. And basically the interpretation that David gave him was this. The tree symbolized Nebuchadnezzar and his great empire, and the cut-down tree indicated that the king would lose his sanity and live like an animal for 7 years. And guess what? The king completely ignored that, and 1 year later, as he boasted about his achievements, God's judgment fell, and this king lost his sanity and lived in the wild like an animal for 7 years. Right? Now we've got the Roman Empire. Let's talk real quick about the Roman Empire, right? Because at one point the Roman Empire was a Roman Republic. And then it became a Roman Empire. What caused those changes? Was it things like class struggles, right? The rich and the poor, right? Ongoing conflicts between wealthy patricians class and the poor, people beings or something like that is pronounced, where the poor sought more rights or their rights and political representation. And then, of course, just like we see now, we keep getting knocked back. We keep getting knocked down. We keep getting told, know our place. And check it out, right? The transformation to the empire after Augustus' reforms established a principate in 27 BC, right? He established a system that he maintained the outward appearance of a republic governance while holding ultimate power. Now look, ladies and gentlemen, I ain't no scholar. I'm definitely not a biblical scholar or any other kind of scholar, but I am this. I am a guy that prays for discernment. I am a guy that prays for me to understand correlations and see what's really going on in our society, right? Why are we shooting dogs with bow and arrows and guns? As a matter of fact, where is the public trust? Are we in the middle? And I referenced Nebuchadnezzar's dream. But are we in the middle of realizing that we are that empire that is going to fall divided? Because that's what they're trying to do. See, the thing is this. Once there's no more public trust, once our leaders that we've elected in good conscience start acting, uncivilized themselves, what do we think the rest of society is going to do? Now, I'm going to play a clip for you here real quick, something that happened over the weekend, right? No big deal. But I want to talk about public trust for a minute when something simple like this happens. Can you...
I can answer the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
I came in like a wrecking ball. This is the message of my future son. We got
this. And see, I played this. Now, that was legislator Santos Cruz, who was seen leaving Latin nights at the public market. It was like a concert with some Spanish bands and so forth, right? He was seen leaving and driving after several beers, right? And then this video popped up, which is bizarre that it was even put up. But the point that I'm making is this, right? We have a habit, especially Santos Cruz and many on that progressive left, of going out there and criticizing. I mean, remember when the DA had her little incident, all these people were calling for her to resign, for calling for the ethics committee to look in. Right? Now, check it out. Is this not very much like Nebuchadnezzar, who sat there and his ego was so big where he figured, I'm the king, I'm above the law? I mean, Santos is, I believe, married to one of the clerk's right hands. Right? Now, tell me something. Is the only reason why this individual hasn't said, hey, I apologize that got out there. Hey, I apologize for maybe driving drunk. I doubt he'll admit that, but it's pretty obvious he did. Right? Now, where's the uproar? Where is the rest of the people in his camp saying, own up, Mr. Santos? Own up, Mr. Santos. But you know what? It doesn't end here with us locally. Let's look at what's happening in the White House. Bob, do we have time to play that second clip before break?
It is public information.
I hear you. Guys, hold on a second. There's no reason to go back and forth and be in this aggressive way.
Missed around here about how information's been shared with the press corps about him.
What do you missed about? What do you missed about?
Everything he just asked about.
And then every time I come back and I answer the question that you guys asked.
Correctly, you didn't have to come back and clean up.
I never answered the question incorrectly. That is not true. I was asked about a medical exam. I was asked about a physical. That was in the line of question that I answered. And I said, no, he did not have a medical exam. And I still stand by that. Matter of fact, the president still stands by that. He had a verbal check-in. That is something that the president has a couple times a week.
Now in regards to Dr. Kevin Kennard.
And I am telling you right now that I am not sharing confirming names from here. It is the security reasons. I am not going to do that, Ed. It doesn't matter how hard you push me. It doesn't matter how angry you get with me. I'm not going to confirm a name. It doesn't matter if it's even in the log. I am not going to do that from here. That is not something I am going to do. What I can share with you is that the president has seen a neurologist for his physical 3 times. 3 times. And it is in the reporting that we share a comprehensive reporting. Matter of fact, it's more than what the last guy shared, and it is in line with what George W. Bush did. It's in line with what Obama did. And so it is comprehensive. It is out there. I just read a quote from it, but I am not going to divulge somebody's name or confirm someone. I'm not going to do that. That is as privacy for that person. I'm not going to do that. It doesn't matter how hard you push me. It doesn't matter how angry you get with me from here. I'm just not going to do that. It is inappropriate. It is not acceptable. So I'm not going to do it.
But yet these are the same people that are pushing to have permit holders for guns under the Second Amendment, right, with names being displayed. These are the same people that are saying police officers should have their disciplinary records or their records. I mean, come on. See, this goes back to, again, what I started off the show with saying, public trust, right? Why Nebuchadnezzar? Why the Roman Empire? Because through Nebuchadnezzar, then the Roman Empire, what destroyed that, right? What destroyed those nations was, one, not only having God at the forefront, but it was things like creating social inequality, political corruption, right? And what's next? Political reform or military reform. Now listen, none of this stuff that happened to the Romans or even Nebuchadnezzar happened overnight. Hey, we're going to get right back to that audio we just heard as soon as we get back from these messages. No te vayas. Soy yo, tu conservative Nuyorican, aquí on the WYSL Studios.
Peter Vazquez and Next Step Show on the WYSL stations.
what an appropriate song, Poison. And the crazy thing is, that's a good description of the politicians that we are seeing out there, right? With their doublespeak, with their forked tongues, with their crying that, oh my gosh, because I'm a woman and all this other stuff, or oh my God, because I'm a Hispanic. You know, really, just perpetuating this whole victim mentality. Stop. You know, Miss County Clerk, I'm running against you because you've been absent since you got elected, since you got appointed. You've done nothing. There's no innovation. There's no customer service. Listen, people, stop. But let me wrap up here real quick on this Santos Cruz and the whole, reference to Nebuchadnezzar and the Roman Empire becoming or the Roman Republic becoming a Roman Empire. Ladies and gentlemen, history is surely repeating itself. How is it that we get to the Roman Empire, one of the biggest empires out there in its time, right? How does it go from, well, again, a Roman republic to a one person led with a king? Well, it happened because there were double standards. It happens because we, the people, allowed people like Santos Cruz, allowed people like, Cooney the Hut, allowed people like Hocus Pocus, like the buffoon in the White House, that even Joe Morelli is calling for his resignation or for him to step aside and not run. Right? All the trickery. I'll check it out. I'm going to play one more clip here, right? Because if the one with the White House press secretary wasn't enough to convince you of the trickery and the doublespeak, right? I've always said you got to ask the right questions, and this is where discernment and emotional intelligence. She said it herself. I answered the question, and she said I was asked about health care and that other thing, right? They don't give you anything else. But the thing is this, there's something absolutely wrong with the president. And there's something absolutely wrong, right, in the corruption side here at the county. But can we play the next clip, please?
Every month I'm hearing about this student loan debt being forgiven by the administration. And how much at this point, how much debt has been forgiven and how many people are benefiting from it?
So, Michael, it's a big issue affecting so many people. We have forgiven now over $160 billion in student loan debt, which has impacted about 5 million people. We are doubling, essentially, the amount of forgiveness if somebody is in public service. So a firefighter, a nurse, a teacher, because God knows we don't pay them enough as it is.
Exactly.
And so that's that. But the other thing that's really important to get the word out, even if you didn't graduate, you're eligible for student loan debt forgiveness. There are many people who have dropped out simply because they can't afford tuition anymore. Mm-hmm. And they know that the loans are just stacking up and they can't afford it and they need to go out and get a job instead of being in school. Mm-hmm. But they still owe that student loan. So we have made the policy so that it's just fair, which is even if you did not graduate, you are entitled to student loan debt forgiveness. And so please do apply, even if you didn't graduate.
You heard it from the Vice President herself. I think it's incredible what the administration is doing.
And again, yet another audio clip that shows the trickery. $167 billion in student loan debt for 5 million people, right? Doesn't matter whether you finish school, it doesn't matter. See, and now some of you may be saying, well, Peter, what's so wrong with that, right? Well, Peter, college is so expensive. Well, if you're asking that question, then I answer you this. Wouldn't it make more sense for our politicians to take a step back and say, well, wait a minute, let's find out why tuition is so expensive that, as the Vice President just said, right, people can't afford it. But why? When has they asked a question and said, where are we failing in our regulations, in our laws, in our providing of education to our people that it's costing so much? Well, you know what? How about just eliminate the cost for everybody at all the state schools? Federalize them. Make them free. Don't add the debt to the national debt, because that's what this cancellation of debt does. Check it out. Tim Scott even said it. Right, and not only Tim Scott, right? There's debate amongst economists about whether such a large-scale debt forgiveness would contribute to inflation, right? Would the more disposable income in my pocket, which sounds good, right? It increases customer spending, it stimulates economy, but ladies and gentlemen, supply and demand. It also drives up the cost of everything. But that's not even discussing the issue of, check it out, I don't even want to pay for my own kids' college, right? I mean, I will if they needed the help, but there's something to college that isn't just the books and the literature that you're reading in those books. It's not just the data sets that you take home or the formulas you memorize, right? There comes a piece of learning character, just like trade schools, right? You learn character. You understand what it means to pay a bill, to have a bill. You understand what it means to apply what you're learning in your economic classes. What about the opportunity cost for you business owners out there, right? How about instead of looking at adding more debt to our national debt through this debt consolidation, right, using those funds, $167 billion, right, for direct economic stimulus measures. How about paying off mortgage if you're going to add debt? How about those, because again, affordable housing, I'm all about that. I have been forever. If you don't have four walls around you that you can call home and be proud of, guess what? Nothing else is going to work for you. It starts there, right? Opportunity cost, choosing debt forgiveness over other potential expenditures. Ladies and gentlemen, that's dangerous. Can we play the next clip, please?
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father from his family.
Mr. Holman, with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're in the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay. Mr. Chair, the memo is submitted to the record for review. Inspector General Costello, one last thing.
You know, again, I hope you see the trickery in the language that's being used, ladies and gentlemen. 346-3000. You know, it's kind of like the same trickery in the language of that fireman that Keith brought up. You know, were his feelings hurt? Was it wrong? I don't know. I wasn't there. I wouldn't have gone. But you know what, though? I'll tell you what. Sometimes we need to look at a situation for what it is. And if we feel wronged, absolutely do something about it. But then you go back to work. And the thing is this. Legal asylees, never even heard that term before, kind of like the white Hispanic that Obama came up with, right? They do not get charged with anything. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of this entire discussion, right? 346-3000, your opinion's always welcome. The purpose of this whole discussion is for us to be able to see what we're seeing in the news. To take the time to say, wait a minute, what the heck is a legal asylee? No, they are illegal immigrants or illegal aliens that cross the border, and that's it. And in large part, they're causing harm in this country. And the fact that people like AOC are saying they don't get charged, and mentality like that is supported by people like, well, Santos Cruz, and even the clerk, and even the county executive. The millions and millions and millions of dollars that are being spent, but yet they're going to make it sound pretty. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, right? That story of Nebuchadnezzar, the shift from the Roman Republic to the Roman Empire, there's some value. And I'm not a history buff. I just happen to read once in a while, right? There are parallels there. And what we see happening then is happening now. Can we play that next clip, please?
I'm 70. I'm done. You are just starting. I only want to help you. The slightly uncomfortable feeling of awkward humor is okay. It's not something you need to fix. I totally admire the ambitions of your generation to create a more just and inclusive society. I think it is also wonderful that you care so much about not hurting other people's feelings in the 1,000,001 ways we all do that every second of every day. It's lovely to want to fix those things, but, all caps, but, what I need to tell you as a comedian, do not lose your sense of humor. You can have no idea at this point in your life how much you are going to need it to get through. Not enough of life makes sense for you to be able to survive it without humor. And I know all of you here are going to use all of your brains and muscle and soul to improve the world, and I know you're going to do a bang-up job. And when you're done, as I am now, I bet the world, because of you, will be a much better place. But it will still not make a whole hell of a lot of sense. It'll be a better, different, but still pretty insane mess. And it is worth the sacrifice of an occasional discomfort to have some laughs. Humor is the most powerful, most survival, essential quality you will ever have or need.
But only humor, right? When it's in good faith, not when you're picking on people. And see, I love Jerry Seinfeld. His humor can get a little raunchy sometimes, but very funny, and usually based on something real. So look, you know, I've talked about the dreams of Nebuchadnezzar. We've talked about the different trickery. We know that Biden's losing it or lost it, but yet people are still staying behind. And you know what the crazy thing is? Even Joe Morelli, who's calling for him to step aside, right, is only calling for him to step aside because he doesn't think he can beat Trump. It's not about you and me. Mira, we'll be right back right here in the Next Step Show on the Conservative New York and the WYSL stations.
You don't learn everything there is to know in school. Wouldn't believe me when I gave advice. I said that he was a tease. If you won't help, you better ask me now. So be sincere, convince me with a pretty please. Laugh, laugh, I thought I'd die. It seems so funny to me. Laugh, laugh, you better die. Who taught you how it feels to be lonely?
In the Rochester and Finger Lakes region, one name stands above all others for real estate appraisal and advice.
Ryan Murphy and Associates.
This full-service real estate appraisal company can appraise and advise on purchase and sales decisions, mortgage finance feasibility, estate, matrimonial, partnership buyouts, litigation, and more for any type of property, both residential and commercial. Ryan Murphy was founded almost 40 years ago. All of our highly trained staff members have at least 20 years of experience. All our appraisers are either New York State certified general or residential real estate appraisers.
Ryan Murphy and Associates.
Start here. RYNNEMurphy.com.
Hi, my name is Greg Sadwick, and along with my son Zach, we are the owners of Flower City Collision. We've been advertisers on WYSL, the voice of liberty, for the last couple of years. So I want to thank the listeners of WYSL for their patronage, which has allowed us to grow and reinvest in the latest technologies to ensure that your vehicles are repaired to the most current standards, whether conventional or EV. If you're in a collision, reach out to Zach at Flower City Collision in Henrietta, and he'll work with your national insurance company on your local behalf to ensure that your repair gets done right.
Baseball, hot dogs, and the American flag. They're all part of the rich fabric that makes our country great. Show your American spirit by purchasing your flag from the Stars and Stripes Flag Store today. When you do, you're supporting critically needed services for local veterans at the Veterans Outreach Center. Let's show our veterans that we care by placing our nation's symbol on the porch of every house in our community. The Stars and Stripes Flag Store, 783 South Avenue, Rochester, or visit eflagstore.com.
Now that the good weather's back, you'll want to make sure your vehicle is in tip-top shape, whether it's for the daily commute or that vacation you're planning. For quality, affordable vehicle service, rely on Rock Auto Service, 1132 Westridge Road. Rock Auto has what your car, truck, or SUV needs. Oil change, brake service, suspension, alignments, exhaust, air conditioning, and tires. Check their Google reviews as one of Rochester's best for customer satisfaction. Rock Auto Service, 1132 Westridge, just east of Mount Reed, 434-5010.
Next Steps with Peter Vazquez on the WYSL stations.
Lights out.
And what am I doing here?
Ladies and gentlemen, never forget your humor, because when you got a buffoon that doesn't know where he's at or what he's saying leading the country, it makes scary times. When you have a governor of a state as big as New York or any size saying, "Be my apostles." And if you haven't noticed, the theme that I'm trying to cover here, right, ladies and gentlemen, is that, guess what? It's time that we look up and say, "Thank you, God, for your blessings of freedom. We honor you, and we will stick with you." And that's how we get these jokers out, and that's how we get motivated to go and vote. Gary, thank you for calling the Next Step Show, sir.
Oh, Peter, my pleasure. Thanks for taking the call. Something a little bit humorous. I'm moving a lot of stuff around, trying to make some extra room in my house, and I've got a bookcase downstairs that's full of old textbooks and various things that don't really need anymore. So I was sorting through those, and there were a few old books that I think came from my grandmother's house, and I had just happened to see one. I flipped it open, and it was uncanny what opened up, because I was thinking about all the things we're going through right now while I was doing this task, and it opened up to "The Emperor Has No Clothes." Now, if you can't see the irony of that, we've kind of seen that with the debate the other night. It's basically tossed a grenade into their whole narrative, because you've got half the Democrat Party now that's saying Biden's okay, it was a one-night episode and he's good to go, and then you got the other one saying, okay, we got to make a change. And you've never seen that. I haven't seen that in I don't know how many years, where they weren't all in lockstep saying. And the problem is, they've been lying to everybody for so long. The media's been covering for them and spreading the lies, and now they're all exposed. The Emperor Has No Clothes. And if people don't know what that story is, I suggest you look it up. Because it explains what you're seeing. It takes some little kid to say, hey, I'm going to believe my lying eyes, not your narrative or your story. So.
Absolutely. And that's a book. You know what? I may get a few of those books and give them out, because you know what? You said it perfectly, Gary. That's exactly what happened at that debate and what's happening now.
Yeah,
and the thing is,
well, the New York Citizens audit is a perfect example. There is so much evidence of the corruption and the finagling and the lies of that, not only during the election in 2020 and also before that in 2022, but just the cover-up and the denial immediately, like, oh, this is the most secure election we've ever had, and they had no evidence to back that up, and all the evidence is coming out of the algorithms hidden in election places all over the country, the voter rolls and all this manipulation. And has anybody come out and said anything about, we were wrong, we apologize, we're going to do better? Not one person. In fact, the only reporter in Rochester that even tried to cover it was Christian Garzone, and he doesn't work at the Channel 8 anymore because they wouldn't let him run the story. He had all the facts.
Sure. Gary, I appreciate the call, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to get that book. I'll tell you what, I'm going to get it and I'm going to start distributing it. Gary, I truly appreciate pointing that out. Hey, let's end this show talking about customer service, because, see, this is the thing. We seem to be missing customer service, in our county services, and these people really don't think that you matter. Can you play that last clip?
Cornerstone of the county's clerk's office is not customer service.
Play it one more time just to make sure it was heard.
Cornerstone of the county's clerk's office is not customer service.
The cornerstone of the Monroe County Clerk's office is not customer service. Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, what customer service is. Because if the customer facing facing department of the county isn't the cornerstone, isn't customer service, then what is? Well, that explains why the clerk has been missing for 4 years, over 4 years. Customer service, right, is not just a business concept. It's critical for equality in public services, right? It's it ensures advocacy plays, right, that vital role. Because if you have customer service and that's your focus, you're always advocating. You're always innovating. Mandates, guess what? Don't become a challenge. Or they become a challenge, right? They become a call to action, not a barrier. Customer service in public office involves responsiveness, transparency, and accountability, right? As a matter of fact, a study by the Government Performance Lab at Harvard University found that 82% of citizens expect the same level of service from government agencies as they do from their commercial counterparts, right? Employees, because there's more to that clip, and she says it's not about customer service, it's not about those that are paying, right? It's about employees. But you see, the thing is this, that's where she failed too. Because if customer service is about employees and her focus is, and her focus are the employees, then where's the customer service? Because studies show that happy and engaged employees are critical, essential to creating a culture of customer service. Right? Elected officials have to ensure that they are accessible and that their staff are trained in effective communication techniques, implementing regular feedback mechanisms, right? Surveys, town halls. Have you seen any of those? Huh? The city of Boulder reported 20% improvement in constituent satisfaction when they went out and started engaging the people, not just engaging people in the year that they're seeking re-election. Sharing information about processes and decisions to demystify government operations and increase trust. Right? Because we all know, right, that exemplary customer service is crucial, right, not just for constituent satisfaction, but for enhancing public trust and engagement. So see, ladies and gentlemen, that's why I'm running. That's another local, right here in Monroe County, New York, another example of what trickery is. Because now they're touting, I got mobile DMVs in Clarkson and the West Side. I've got mobile DMVs in East Rochester and Irondequoit. Where have you been? Where is the leadership? Right? Where is the explanation? Where's the schedule of the rest of the mobile DMVs that are being opened so that we, the people, can plan? Because it ain't about you. Listen. Pick up a Bible, ladies and gentlemen, right? Pick up the Constitution. And guess what? Be a leader, be a leader, be a leader. Say it with me. Leadership is the beacon that guides me, for it's through selfless service that I illuminate the way for others to find their own greatness. Y mira, share with us, advertise with us, y que tengan una noche bendecida y nunca te olvides the Next Step Show con tu conservative Nuyorican, la voz de libertad, WYSL. Siempre te amamos.
Con alma de hombre